Welcome to the Maine State House. The State House was built in 1829 and it was designed by a gentleman named Charles Bulfinch. Mr. Bulfinch was a very famous architect. In fact, he's reputed to be the country's first architect. Bulfinch designed our building at the same time that he was actually rebuilding the nation's Capitol building in Washington, D.C. as he was undertaking the rebuilding of the Capitol after it was substantially destroyed by the British during the War of 1812. He was designing our building. When Maine gained statehood in 1820, our first capital city was the city of Portland. That was a temporary arrangement, and there were several reasons for that. Chief among those was the fact that people felt that Portland was too far south to remain our capital for very long. So on February 24th, 1827, Governor Enoch Lincoln signed the bill into law naming Augusta as the new capital. The capital was moved here to Augusta from Portland upon completion of this building. The first official use of this building, which was actually the first legislative session, happened on January 4th, 1832. Now, since it's been here such a long time, it shouldn't be too surprising that there have been some changes made to the original building. In 1890, the rear section of the building was added. So where you see the floor tiles change, from that point back is the 1890 addition. And by 1909, state government had outgrown the original building. So in order to enlarge the building and have it accommodate all the needs of state government, some of the original had to be taken apart first. The original small wood frame dome was removed. The roof over the entire original building was removed. The front wall and the front facade, however, were left intact. So what's out there today in the front of the building is original from 1829. Another original feature of the State House is the floor on which we are now standing. This floor is Italian marble, and the tiles on the floor are individual tiles. They're tiny, tiny individual tiles, which were laid on this floor, one tiny little tile at a time. It took approximately a year and a half to lay all the tiles on this floor. Occupying an obvious space of honor, here in the middle of our Hall of Flags, is a bust of a gentleman named Percival Proctor Baxter. He was governor of Maine from 1921 to 1925, but he's honored here for more than his public service. He's honored for his extremely generous gift to the state of Maine. After his public life, starting around 1931 until his death in 1969, Governor Baxter purchased, using his own money, he was fabulously rich, he purchased about 200,000 acres of land, which he then, of course, gave to the state of Maine. And that land now comprises a state park, which is appropriately named in his honor. It's called Baxter State Park. According to his wishes, there's hunting allowed in only about 25% of the park. He intended it as a wildlife refuge. This is a portrait of a grand lady from Maine whose name was Margaret Chase Smith. She was from Skowhegan, Maine. Margaret Chase Smith had the distinction of having been the first woman in this country ever to have been elected to both houses of the United States Congress. In 1940, she was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. She served there until 1948 when she was elected to the United States Senate, thereby becoming the first woman ever to accomplish that feat. When she was elected to the Senate in 1948, she became the first woman ever elected to the Senate as well. She also had the distinction of having been the first woman in this country ever to have her name placed in nomination for President of the United States by a major political party. That happened at the Republican National Convention in San Francisco in 1964. Of course, that year the Republican nomination went to the senator from Arizona, Senator Barry Goldwater. But the mere fact that so many people thought so highly of this lady was quite significant that they wanted her to run for president. For a lady in 1964, and the fact that she was from Maine gives us here in Maine a great deal of pride in that lady. This is a portrait of a gentleman named Thomas Brackett Reed, who was a congressman from Maine, served in the U.S. House of Representatives in the late 1800s, several terms as Speaker of the House of Representatives. Was an extremely powerful speaker, earning himself the title Czar Reed. Many of the rules that he instituted as Speaker of the House are still used to this day. They're called Reed's Rules. I especially like Congressman Brackett for his very acerbic wit. He was once asked if he would attend the funeral of a political rival. He said, "No, but I do approve of it." Another time, he was asked if he thought his party might nominate him for president the Republican Party. He said they could certainly do worse and very likely they will. And then finally, a fellow congressman at one point very pompously stated, well, I'd rather be right than be president. And Speaker Reed said, well, the gentleman needn't worry, he'll never be either. So he had a very acerbic wit. We're in the House chamber. Maine's House consists of 151 members. Each member of the House represents about 8,600 or 8,700 people. The representatives serve 2-year terms. And in Maine, we have term limits. They can serve no more than 4 consecutive 2-year terms. At the end of 8 years, they are termed out. The term limit law was passed in 1992, took effect in 1996, and it was as a result of a citizen initiative. It was not enacted by the legislature. It is a citizen legislature. It's a part-time legislature. The average legislator could easily be described as the average Mainer. We have people from all walks of life who serve here. We have teachers, we have plumbers, we have people who work in paper mills. And so the population of the legislature is a very good mirror of the population of the state of Maine. When the speaker moves an item, he uses a gavel to move that item. And very often the speaker will, it's a wooden gavel, and very often the speaker will be a little too aggressive and break the gavel. And because business cannot be conducted without a gavel, then the clerk of the House, who stands here, is prepared with additional gavels in her drawer. Maine Senate consists of 35 senators. The districts are apportioned according to population. There's a quaint rule in the Senate that prohibits anyone from sitting in a senator's chair other than the senator to whom that chair is assigned. Even staff people, when they come in to work at the desks, may not sit in a senator's chair. If they want to sit, as they straighten out the desks, they have to move the chair out and bring in their own chair to sit down. We're standing in the Rotunda. The Rotunda is on the 3rd floor of the State House. And in the Rotunda, we have portraits of governors. And we call this the governor's rotation because the immediate past governor always has his portrait displayed right here. This is our immediate past governor, John Baldacci. When Governor LePage is no longer in office, his portrait will come here. Governor Baldacci will move over. Governor King will move over. And all the governors will move over to make room for Governor LePage. And that's why we call it the governor's rotation. This is a portrait of Governor Mckenna, John McKernan, who was married to one of our 2 United States Senators, Olympia Snowe, whose picture can be seen on the credenza on which Governor McKernan is leaning. There's a photograph of he, his wife, Olympia Snowe, and his son from a previous marriage, who tragically died when he was in college from a previously undetected heart condition. As we tour through the building, we see, certainly in comparison to other buildings of this type throughout the country, other state houses, other Capitol buildings, that our building is somewhat plain, somewhat simple. There's no opulence at the Maine State House. There's nothing at the Maine State House that will take a person's breath away. But its very simple nature speaks volumes for the Puritan ethic that is very prevalent in Maine. If you want to use one word out of the English language to describe Maine and its people, the perfect word for that would be frugal. And so you can see frugality throughout this entire building. And that's an excellent portrait or picture of the people of Maine and the entire state.